Hi, welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be focusing on small group counseling for elementary school students. So once you have decided that you want to start implementing and running some groups in your counseling program, first thing you need to think about is what are these groups going to be? So like, what is the purpose of these groups? Are they going to be like social emotional groups? Are they going to be attendance groups, academic groups? Are there specific behaviors that you're targeting in these groups? So just kind of getting an idea of what the group is going to be focusing on and what is the purpose of the group. So having a goal that you want to reach at the end of your group sessions. So is there like a behavior that you're targeting that you're able to see if you made an impact on that behavior? If you're focusing on like an attendance or academic goal, has their academics and attendance improved, or whatever it is, just being able to have something that you can gauge improvement on for that goal. So you've decided you want to run some groups, you've decided what kind of group you want to run, the purpose and the goal of the group. Now you need to think about who is going to be in these groups. First, you would think about who are the students that are working on similar things or need help with similar things. So are there specific students who need help with a specific behavior? Do they need help making friends? Do they need help with attendance, their academics? Do they have a social emotional need? Whatever it is, just finding those students have similar things that they need to work on. Those would be good candidates for your group. And then while you're doing that, you also need to think about the grades that these students are in. And are you going to have different grade levels in your group, or is it just going to be one straight grade level? Like, are you going to run a group that is only for fourth graders, or is it going to be fourth and fifth graders together? Is it going to be just a kindergarten group, or are you going to do kindergarten and first grade? When you're thinking about the grade levels of the students that are going to be in your groups, keep in mind their schedule. Their teachers, are the teachers going to be able to allow these students to come out at these specific times across the grade levels? And also, are the students at a cognitive level where they can participate equally with each other? So like, you're not going to do a group with first graders and fifth graders together because they are not on the same page. That would just, they're not cognitively comparable to each other. So like, a first grader is not going to be able to have the same kind of content and process the same way that a fifth grader can. So my advice would be to stick to either just one straight grade level, like just third graders, or just two, like second and third, or third and fourth. Whatever it is that you feel comfortable and you think is going to work. Now, kind of going back to what I said with the timing and scheduling, you need to figure out, when are you going to run these groups? How long are your groups going to be? How many weeks are you going to meet with them? When are you going to meet with them? And when are you going to terminate the groups and start the groups also? So this is where you're going to really need to have communication with your teachers of figuring out what is an ideal time for your students in these groups to be pulled out of class to meet with you. I would suggest that your groups only be about 20 to 30 minutes long so that they are not missing too much instructional time. Then you need to figure out, how often are you going to be meeting with your groups? Are you going to meet with them weekly, every other week, once a month? You need to figure out what is going to be the most helpful for the topic that you're focusing on. So most groups are probably going to be like a weekly group. You meet with them weekly. So once you've determined that you're going to meet with them weekly, or whatever it is, you're going to meet with them for 30 minutes. Now you need to determine what time in the week is available for you to be pulling these students. Communicate with your teachers, ask them what is the best, most ideal time for these students to be pulled out of your class. Maybe it's like an independent work time. Maybe it is right in the morning where they're not really in the gist of things yet. Maybe it's the end of the day. Maybe it's right after a special. Maybe it's during specials. My only thing with pulling students from specials, which this could be more of like a my school kind of thing, is that for my school, the kids only go to specials once a week. So they only go to art once a week. They only go to gym once a week, music, whatever, once a week. And sometimes those specials are the only class that the students like It's the only thing that they really enjoy. So I kind of try not to take them away from those, because those are those fun things that they really like, and they need that fun stuff that they like. So if art is their favorite thing, I'm not gonna pull them from their art class every single week, because what's that gonna do for me? They're gonna just not want to come to group. They're not gonna be happy about it because they're missing out on their favorite thing. Think about the timing of when you're gonna pull your kids for a group. The biggest thing, make sure you communicate with your teachers and collaborate with them on the best time to do your groups. One good time that you could run your groups might be during lunchtime. You know, students eat lunch every single day, so they're still gonna get lunch with their friends on the other days of the week, and it's not gonna take so much time from their instructional time with their teachers. So lunch may be a good option. Just remember, if you are going to do a lunch group with students, that remember they are going to need to eat, so that kind of limits some of the activities and stuff that you can do, because they do still need to be eating and getting that nutrition, because that's important. Another thing with setting up your groups and picking the timing, who's going to be in your groups and all that, is the student's ability to gain something from the group. So you might have students who need to focus on a specific topic, but they might not be in a place where they can actively participate in a group. So like thinking about, I have maybe some students who really struggle with some certain behaviors where they need to learn these things, but they're not ready to be in a group of other students, because it's going to be very hard to like keep them on track and not lose sight of the focus of the group and like distracting the other students in the group. So that might be somebody who maybe you start working with individually on stuff, and as they are progressing and growing in that skills, then you introduce them into a group. Now that might kind of sound like I'm going against the whole tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 kind of thing, but at this point some students just can't participate in that tier 2. Now that doesn't mean you can't try to put like a specific student in a group who struggles with things. Definitely try, and if it doesn't work, then just know that you can pull them out and work with them individually. So I've done it either way, where I started with a student in a group and they just could not get what they needed out of the group, so then I moved them into more of an individual setting. Now, over the years, I've kind of gotten to know a lot of my students really well, so I do have some students where I just know that the group setting is not going to be right for them right off the bat, so we'll start with the individual. So a lot of this is just going to be how well you know your students, and if you know that they will be able to fully participate and engage and get something out of your group, or if they need to start an individual and then go into a group. So keep that in mind. And then the last thing to think about before you get started with your actual groups is how many students are you going to have in your group. I would personally have between 3 to 6 kids in a group. I think 6 is like the cap, the maximum. Unless they are the like most amazing angels in the world and you have the space to do maybe like 7 or 8, that's up to you. But personally, I would probably not go over 6. So 3 to 6 I think is an ideal number for a group. Okay, so now that you've got that figured out, you know when you're gonna meet, how often you're gonna meet, how long the sessions are gonna be, who's in your group, or I should say who you want to be in your group. Now you need to send out an informed consent to parents about this group. And there are 2 types of ways that you can do this. You can send out an opt-out form, or you can send out like I guess it'd be more of like an opt-in form. So like an opt-in form would be you're sending this paper or however you want to communicate to the family and saying like, your student is invited to this really awesome, cool group, and here's all of the awesome, cool things we're gonna do. Like we're gonna have these kind of discussions, and we're gonna play games, and we're gonna read books. And tell them a little bit about the group, like this is a friendship group, and we're gonna meet for 30 minutes weekly for 6 to 8 weeks. And then you give them an option to either opt in or opt out the child. So that would be an opt-in form where they can decide, yes, I want my child to be in this group, or no, I do not. The other way is to just do a straight opt-out form where you send the same exact information, like what is this group, why is my child being invited to this group? How often are we meeting in this group? Yada, yada, yada. But instead of putting that yes, if you don't want your child to be in this group, sign this letter and send it back. I find the opt-out form to be a little easier. I like doing that one better than the yes-no opt-in form, because with the yes-no opt-in form, I have to chase those forms down to make sure I get them back. Calling parents, sending multiple forms home, all of this stuff. Whereas I just send a straight opt-out form, like, this is what we're doing. If you don't want it, that's cool, that's great. You don't have to, just tell me. And most of the time, if a parent really doesn't want their child to be in a group, they will send that paper back. So I don't have to do all of the chasing down. So decide how you want to send out your informed consents. I would say that it is pretty important that you do this so parents know what their child is doing at school. Your school may have specific policies in place that you need to follow when it comes to informed consents and groups and that kind of stuff. So make sure you check with that too, and that you are following your school's policies. All right, now we made it to the point where we can actually start running some groups. So when we are running our groups, make sure that you have either some kind of curriculum that you are following for your groups, or you have just like a general idea of the kind of things that you want to be doing in your groups. Having specific activities you want them to work on, specific topics you're going to talk about, just kind of having an idea of what you're going to be doing in your groups. And going along with that, if you're following like a actual curriculum, or you're kind of just doing little things that you feel is right here and there, make sure that you allow yourself to go off script and focus on what needs to be focused on in the moment. So sometimes you might have this amazing, great plan of what you're going to do, and then you bring your students in and it just doesn't happen. It doesn't work. The students are either they're not engaged, or there is like a big issue going on. Maybe you're missing some students, whatever it may be. Sometimes you need to put aside what you planned to focus on something else. So like, for an example, I run some like girl drama groups where I have a curriculum that I follow for this, but sometimes there's like extra drama going on that I just need to put that aside and have us just talk about what is our issues, what is our drama going on, and focus on that, and then we will come back to that material piece. So make sure that you are comfortable with being able to put aside what you plan to be able to focus on what needs to be focused on in the moment. All right, so now we have our first meeting with our students. They're gonna come into your office, your classroom, your space, wherever. And first thing that you need to do, very, very important, is go over the rules of your group. So I usually have a little visual, like cue cards. My rules and expectations are pretty similar across any group, any grade level, any kind of student. So that would be like, we are going to be nice to each other. We are going to listen to each other, take turns talking. And then I always explain confidentiality to my groups. The way that I explain it is that confidentiality is like keeping a secret. So whatever somebody says in the group, we're gonna keep that to ourselves and not go and tell everybody outside of this room. So like, if so-and-so tells me that their parents had a fight last night, I'm not gonna go and tell my best friend about their parents' fight, because that's not their business. So I always make sure that I tell them about that, and then making sure that they know that there are specific things where I, as the group leader, the counselor, will have to tell somebody. So making sure you go over that, like the harming themselves, they're being harmed, dangerous activities, those kind of things. Making sure they know that those are the only things that will ever come outside of these office walls. Another thing that I recommend you introducing on that first session meeting is a talking piece. So a talking piece is just some kind of object that a student will hold when it is their turn to talk. And if a student is not holding that talking piece, then it is not their turn to talk, and their job in that moment is to listen to the person who is talking. So you can use any kind of object as your talking piece. I usually use a little octopus that you can flip inside and out on a happy side and like a mad sad side. So I like that one because the students can flip on their turn and kind of show if they're on the more happy side or the mad side. But you don't have to use that. You can use anything that you have. You do not need to go out and buy anything special for this. Anything will work. You can use just like a little stuffed animal, like this Squishmallow that I have. You can use a ball. Don't use a hard baseball like this. This is just what I have laying around, but I would say like a soft ball, like maybe a squishy ball, because sometimes they get a little rough when they're passing the talking piece. So you don't want it to hurt. So a ball, you could use a ball. You could use something as simple as just like a pen, a marker, pencil, whatever it is. It does not matter what your talking piece is, just as long as the students know when I am holding this, it is my turn to talk and nobody else's turn to talk. And then when they're done with their turn, then they pass it to the next person to talk. And like I said, doesn't matter the object. It can be cute little thing like a stuffed animal. It can be a pen. It doesn't matter. I've had groups where I ran it outside before and used a pine cone as a talking piece. It really doesn't matter as long as you establish what that talking piece is and the rules and expectations of using the talking piece. So we've gone over our rules and expectations. We've gone over the talking piece. The next thing that you're gonna do on your first session that I recommend doing, and this is probably gonna be the last thing that you get through on your first session, is doing a pre-test. So have a pre and post test ready for your group. Your questions should be about the topics and stuff that you're gonna cover in the next however many weeks in your group. So give them a pre-test. Make sure that it is developmentally appropriate for your age group. So 5th graders, they can probably read sentences on their own and do like a true or false. Kindergartners might be more of like a smiley face, mad face, like a content in the middle face, and you're gonna have to read the questions to them. So just making sure that your pretest is developmentally appropriate for the group of students that you're working with. If you do have time, I think a good thing to do would be to maybe do some conversation cards to start to get to kind of know each other. But if you don't have enough time left in your group, then I would say that for your next session. I think that's a good thing to start with. Once you kind of get through all that nitty gritty like rules and everything, I think a good thing to start with would be conversation cards or questions or some kind of game that you can play to get to know each other. So you want to kind of start building those relationships, not only with you and the students, but the students with each other. So make sure that you incorporate that in your group as well. And then dive into your content and your topics and really just get going with it. When you are doing your groups and you are going through your curriculum, your activities, your topics, all of that really fun stuff that you're going to do with your students, make sure that you are allowing each one of the students in your group time to participate and talk. Naturally, some students are going to want to be the leader and they're going to want to kind of take charge and talk more. Make sure that you kind of reel them back a little bit and allow your other students to talk. So you let that person talk, of course, but then be like, hey, Billy, what do you think? Or like, hey, Jessica, what was your answer to that question? And some students are not going to want to share as much, and that's okay. Don't push your students to talk if they're not ready to talk. Just giving them a safe place to just think and be themselves and hear the topic and the content is way more powerful than you might realize. So don't force a kid to talk if they're not ready to talk, but make sure you also give them the opportunity to talk if they want to. Try to find ways to incorporate everyone in your group, which again, that talking piece is going to be really helpful for that. Also, I should have said with the talking piece is allow the students to pass. So if they're not comfortable with sharing something, allow them to just pass their talking piece to the next person. Do not ever force a student to share if they are not comfortable with sharing. Now, my last piece of advice when doing groups is thinking about if you want to do like some kind of behavior chart or rewards with your group. So some groups are going to be difficult. Some kids are going to struggle. Some are going to have behaviors that you're going to have to manage. And so you might find that a behavior chart or some kind of reward might be helpful for your group. Not every group is going to need rewards or behavior charts. So make sure that you are thinking beforehand if these are students or type of group who may benefit from having a behavior chart or getting some kind of reward. Why I would do that is each student would have a little paper with a chart on it that says like that aligns with the rules and expectations that we talked about in that first meeting. So like being nice, sharing, taking turns, being respectful, whatever it is that you talked about, listing that on your sheet. And then during each group meeting, they get like a sticker put on there, they get a check mark, they get a stamp, you put an X on their paper, whatever it is, if they reach that expectation, follow that rule, however you want to word it with them. At the end of each session, you check off if they followed those rules and expectations, so that they can get just a simple like check mark, X. Sometimes I let them do like a stamp or a sticker to show if they met those rules and expectations for that day. And then I think about how long is our session going to be, like how many weeks, and what is the max amount of, let's say, stamps that they could get. So if I have 5 rules that they're working on in each session and we're meeting for, let's say, 6 weeks, get a max of 25 stamps. Set a goal with them of being like, if we get 20 stamps by the end of our last session, you get some kind of reward. So that could be like, maybe they get a bag of chips, or they get a candy bar, maybe they get a little fidget or a prize, whatever it is that you're willing to provide them as a reward. And then the reason I said getting like 20 out of 25 stamps is kids are gonna have off days. Nobody is perfect 100% of the time. You need to give them a little bit of wiggle room so they feel like they can still achieve their goal even if they have one bad day, because we all have a bad day. If I was a student and I had to have 100% perfect behaviors and get 25 out of 25 stamps, and I miss one stamp one day, well, why would I even try anymore? Because I already lost it. I'm not going to be able to gain it back. So why try anymore? So that's why you want to give them a little bit of wiggle room. So don't expect them to be 100% on all the time. Let them have that wiggle room, okay? So create some kind of chart, behaviors, rewards. And again, you do not need to do this with every group. Okay, only the groups where they might have behaviors, struggles, need a little extra motivation, a little extra push. And you can also implement these behavior charts later down the road. Like maybe you do a couple of sessions and you realize these kids are not vibing. They're having some issues here. Then you can implement it. So it doesn't have to be right at the start, but just make sure that you are strategic with what is your reward, what's the goal, that wiggle room with the goal. I find it usually very helpful, but again, some students don't need that. So the biggest thing to take away is just knowing your students and what is going to be helpful for them and what is not helpful for them. That might have been a lot. So we talked about how we're going to start a group, who's going to be in the group, timing of the group, your informed consent, communicate with your teachers, what we're going to do during our groups. So like our first group meeting, make sure on your last group meeting you do that post test. Don't forget to do your post test on your last group session. And then after you have terminated your groups, I would, in a couple weeks, check back in with either the teachers or the students to see how they are doing. Are they maintaining their skills well? Do they need some extra support? Make sure that you check back in. Some students may need some individual support after the group has ended. Some students are going to be amazing. They mastered the skills, they're doing it, and they're good to go. But just make sure, give it a couple weeks, maybe a month, check in with the teacher, check in with the student, and see how it's going. Don't feel hard or bad on yourself if you did all this amazing work and then a couple months later, the student is struggling with the same thing again. Sometimes that happens, and we just need to keep going, keep plugging away, and keep doing stuff. We cannot fix all the problems in the world, okay? Remember that. We are not miracle workers. You do what you can do. So besides that little tangent that I just went on, You are going to do so amazing with your small groups. They are so much fun to do. I find them very rewarding and a great way to get so many students together working on the same thing. Also shows students that they're not alone and they're in this together and they can do it together. Having that camaraderie and friendship is really helpful. So that is all of my advice on groups. If there's anything that I left out, any questions that you have, something you want me to go over more, please let me know in the comments below. I'm sure there are some things that I left out or I rambled and it didn't make sense. So please let me know if I can clarify or answer questions, and I will do that. So thank you so much for watching this video. Again, you are going to do amazing with your groups. And if you're a seasoned veteran counselor, let us know your advice too, because I'm also always learning and I love to hear what other people are doing as well. So leave that down below as well. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Come back for the next one. Bye.